allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez.
Present.
Councilman Cypress.
Here.
Councilman Larka.
Here.
Councilman O'Connor.
Here.
Supervisor Hay.
Here. Notation of the exits in the front and the rear electronic device. Please put it on vibrate. I make a motion to come out of the executive session. No action was taken.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the first item on the agenda this evening is a public hearing for Life Storage, 1639 Route 22, tax map 46.3-13. I waive the reading of the public notice.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we'll open the public hearing.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Bergman. I'm the engineer for Life Storage. I'm here tonight requesting a reapproval for a project that was approved in February of 2020. I'm sure everybody realizes what happened in March of 2020. And Life Storage was no different than anybody else. We held up building certain things. This is an expansion of an existing facility. That's what the original proposal was for, and this is virtually nothing has changed since it was approved in February.
Sir, for the public, can you announce like the street address and where it's located so people know?
It's located on Route 22, and the exact street address, I'm not sure.
Is it directly across from the
mall or little?
Acme?
Yes, yes.
And it used to be the old Golf Dome
It's
property.
next to Kelly's.
This is
Next to Kelly's restaurant.
Okay,
it's the
I had
current
it completely different.
storage.
Yes,
that's there.
it's the current
And
one.
okay,
The storage barn.
This is just an expansion of the
Bob's store?
existing facility.
okay.
And the address is 1630.
Okay.
1639. Sorry.
Okay.
The proposal is for an 18,144 square foot expansion to an existing facility. The existing facility is typical storage. This is a little bit different than typical storage. This is climate controlled, indoor only, which is a trend of today's storage places. It's air conditioned, it's heated, it's fire protected, the whole 9 yards. The existing facility is about 45,000 square foot, and we're proposing an additional 18,000. This will go behind the existing facility. Even though it's 3 stories, it's 2 up and 1 down, with 6,000 square foot floor space on each story. Nothing will be seen from Route 22. It'll all be lower than the existing facility. This has gone through the fire department for turnarounds. We've been approved for our landscape plan, our lighting plans. This has been approved by the planning board and sent here. That's about it.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Good.
This is going down the lower lot where you
It's
do
going
some
down the
outdoor
lower lot.
storage
That's
now.
correct.
So will there still be outdoor storage after you build this building?
The outdoor storage has already been removed except for 1 vehicle.
Okay,
Everything has been removed. There will be no more outdoor storage.
thank you.
Public comment, please. Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing and leave 5-day open for comment from public in writing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It'll be on, we're gonna have in October, we have an organizational and a regular meeting. We could possibly approve it at that evening.
I hate to even ask this question, do I need to be there?
No,
Thank you.
unless you want to hear a yes or a
No,
no.
no, no, no. I had a tough drive coming down from Syracuse today.
Okay. We'll notify and let you know at least of the night that it's taking place. Thank you.
I think we've already put ourselves on a planning board agenda.
Okay.
We have to go back to the planning board.
Okay, with our approval?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a safe drive. Okay. I'll make a motion now, go into the work session.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, first discussion is the special districts update. Mr. Brown. Well, you were all introduced to Mr. Brown back around October. He's our special districts coordinator, and he's here to give us an update of what he's been doing thus far.
I want to hand out a sheet.
You can do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And when you get there, just announce your name and your position.
Thank you.
I'll get a copy.
I got one more, I think, here.
You should-
I made 5, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
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 I'll share with Eric,
Yes.
and,
I only need it for later, so.
oh, we'll get to him for tomorrow, it's easy. Will, you good, or you want me to share with Eric? You need?
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Good evening, my name is Rod Brown. I'm the president of Muni Management. Been hired by the town of Southeast to do the Special Districts Administration. I've seen some of you in the past. And I'm just going to give you an update as to where we stand, and we'll explain that sheet so you'll have a better chance of following along. I have been on that side of the bench, and I want to thank you for your service, coming out here at night and all the rest. But what we stepped into as far as water treatment and wastewater treatment is actually overall is in pretty good shape. What we have, as indicated on this sheet, is a lot of issues that are being resolved. And how this is working is, as they come to me, we'll take like Brewster Heights, the water plant, you have filter number 3 rebuild. And every week we have a meeting to follow along and see how far these projects have gone. Some of them are within a week, some are taking a month, etc. So the yellow indicates things that are going to be done at a future date, and the blues indicate things that have been done. So if you, and on the left-hand column, there's a C at some of those are critical situations. Those have to get done. Part of it for the DEP, and part of it because, like in the case of replacing hydrants, I find that to be something that's pretty critical. Okay? So if you just want to look at that, any other questions you have on that, but I wanted to note that I'm carrying a journal forward on each meeting. And I've been talking to Joe in IT about getting this so it's available to you publicly on a server, on Cloudbase. I can email it out to you. I don't know if that's the best method, but we do have this information available, and we have the meeting notes, which I believe Tony's the only one who gets, right?
Yes.
And that tells you the status of each piece of equipment within the plant, okay? So if you'd like to see those, we got to find a public way of getting that available to everybody, okay?
Do you want them posted on the town's webpage?
Well, Joe and I are talking about, I don't know that we want to go that public. I'm at public to the board.
I mean, getting to the board is not a problem.
Well, I'd spoken to Joe Vera about upgrading our Microsoft to the 365.
The 365, yes.
Yeah, so I think he was looking at a proposal. I think I may have it actually, but I could bring that back up because that would make it a lot easier to share it internally.
Well,
especially.
we had talked about that, and he said it was kind of costly, so I didn't know if you wanted to go in that direction. If you have a server that you might get onto, you know, a server, a Dropbox, cloud-based, there's so many different options to it that I'm leaving that to Joe, okay?
Yeah, we can
And
take that offline. I'm of the opinion we need to update it at some point anyway. But,
Okay.
we'll figure something out.
That's another area I want to not get involved with this yet. Yeah. When I came to your plants here, a lot of what I noticed was similar to something you might have in your own household, where the closet door falls off a track and you keep putting on, and you're willing to live like that. We were finding a lot of issues like that at the plants, and they're small, but over the course of time, they like snaking out a line every week. There's something wrong. You fix the line. So that's the approach we're taking, starting to fix a lot of these things. And in doing that, they're getting more time to do what they're really meant to be doing, okay? We're trying to collect as much data on the plants as possible so we can see trends. We have a situation where there's yellow water twice a year. They know about it. They know how to fix it. So I say, why don't we just put it on the flushing schedule and not wait till it turns yellow, right? It just seems to make sense. So we're getting them to and I'm talking JCO, the operators, we're getting them to focus on fixing things instead of making do and continuing in a certain fashion. So on that sheet, you'll see a lot of things that seem coincidental, but they take a lot of time, and if we can get them fixed, it'd be great. I meet a lot with the contractors and the operators with regard to repairs that are going on. Today, we had an issue where the main from the Drewville pump station, the main line there got a split in it. So at one point for about 4 hours, the Brewster Heights water was the water that was in storage. So it wasn't being pumped in because they had to repair the pipe. Nobody was out of water. It would take a certain amount of time before that happens, probably a day or two. But they got in there, they found the leak, and contractor local, Gallagher, came in, fixed it. It's all repaired, about 4.5 hours. So, I'm working with Delaware Engineering, and that has to do with Star Ridge, Birch Hill, the PFAS and PFOs. And we're working with them on a DP with the Drewville pump station because the Delaware Aqueduct is shutting down, which is going to lower the level of the reservoir, and we need to know that we can pump. So if they lower it too much, we can't pump, although we have a pump that's 35 feet down, and they're trying to see if they can't get that working, because that's not been working for I don't know how long, apparently. There's other options where they're going to tie into the village water, but these are all contingencies. It's not necessary at this point unless they drop down 6 feet. They claim they're only going to drop 4 feet. So we'll see where that goes, but we'll be in position in case they do drop it lower than anticipated, okay? I've set up the laptop, the printer, the network, and the office. I'm located at the Brewster Heights wastewater plant. A couple things we do is we review all the quotes, we revise them, we approve or disapprove. We just had a situation where I moved on a hydrant purchase because there was a price change of $1,200 per hydrant from Friday to Monday. Now, the supplier, I guess, was kind enough to tell the contractor that, and if we approved the bid on Monday, we would have had to pay $3,600 more. Pardon me. So, it's things like that. We have a compressor contract. I don't know why you signed on to it. We're looking into that, but that's $3,600 a year. You pay JCO, the water operators, to do the work that the Quincy maintenance contract you're paying additionally for. So they have a compressor to fix. Once that gets done next week, I'll be talking to Tony about maybe canceling that contract and getting $11,000 back, because it doesn't make sense that you're paying for that. You already have a group that is tasked with maintaining this equipment. So For the most part, like I say, you're in good shape. They go out all by flows. Things seem to be within tolerance. We're just pecking away at it. There's a lot to do. So, any questions?
I just have one question.
Certainly.
Who's now handling the communication, like updating the website where there's an outage or something like that? Is that you or someone on our side still?
I have not done that. I've talked to Michelle. A person that I work with is Michelle at One Main.
Okay.
And I'm trying to glean from her what I might be as, of help to her. And I sit down there and answer the phone sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm
Maybe it's
supposed-
JCO. I just want to make sure if a water main in the Heights breaks, that we can get the alert out through our website quickly. So.
And that's been done in the past. If there's
Sometimes.
okay. If there's a mechanism in there and somebody could show, I would certainly do it. It's not a problem doing it. I don't know that.
Okay. I'll take that off.
Well, I'll talk to him tomorrow about it.
Okay.
You'll talk to, yes?
Yeah, I'll talk to Eric first and then get back to you.
Okay, all
I
right.
believe it's being done, but I want to verify it.
All right.
I didn't have any other,
Any
no
other
other
questions?
questions, but thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else here? Okay.
Just
No, we're good.
unimportant question, I think, but what's the KSDRDE?
Those are the operator's initials. I keep
Oh,
track
okay.
of who, like the KS, he says he's gonna do something, and, there's so many things going on, right? You see the list, and it's tough to, was it Dale or was it Kyle? So I keep a list there. You're the last person that said something in a meeting about it, and it's your job, so get it done.
So that's the JCO people, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we call him JCO or H2O, I don't.
Yeah, they got two names now. They got taken over.
Yeah.
They merged.
With the water operators, that's.
Okay, anything else?
Yep, that's good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good holiday.
Okay, and everybody should have my number. If you do have any questions, we'll throw them down the line. Reach out, I'm always available,
Okay,
so. All right?
very
Thank
good.
you.
Enjoy your holidays.
you.
Have a good evening. See you all.
Okay, second item, second, third, and fourth item is Ms. Lori Bell, Town Assessor. First thing is the increase of senior citizen disability exemptions.
Good evening, Town Board. I've emailed all of you the backup to the 3 items tonight. The first one we're going to go through is the state finally got around to increasing the income limits for the senior citizens exemption, which is also the same income limits as the people with limited income if they are disabled. So those 2 exemptions are currently, their income limits are currently being considered either to phase in over 3 years, which is what's being proposed. That's also what was adopted by Putnam County. The county, the town, and the school district has to adopt this increase in the income that's allowable in order to receive an exemption. And this exemption, as it exists and would continue on, it's a sliding scale. So if you meet the bare minimum, you get 50% off, and then depending on how much you make up to the maximum for that year, that's allowable, you get up to 5% off. And that's been on the books forever, I think, for a very long time. The last time the state updated these income limits was in 2007, and it was phased in then from 2007, and then 8, and then 9. So there hasn't been an increase in income allowable since 2009. I mean, just the increase in Social Security alone this year, it's kind of glaring. Needed to update it. So the proposal before you, again, is to phase this in over 3 years. That will allow a lesser impact on the non-tax exempt parcels in the town. And like I said, this has been accepted by the county, and it's being voted on by the school district at their January meeting. So typically, what the county passes, those parameters, pretty much what the town and the school districts mirror. This way, it's the same across the board in terms of what you're getting, in terms of exemptions, and just simplifies the application of those. So any questions on that one?
Are the other towns adopting this as well in the county?
I'll be honest with you, I've unofficially surveyed the assessors in some of the other towns, and they don't believe that they're going to be able to get this implemented before the March 1st taxable status date,
Okay.
just from a timing standpoint.
Okay.
Because you got a public hearing, then, pass it and implement. So I wasn't hearing from any of the towns that they were going to be able to get this done this year. So we could be stellar. We can do it.
Lori, I know you say that it'd be hard to determine any impact, but if I read this right, potentially we'll have more than 3 times as many people eligible.
We currently have
Right away.
163
Right, and an additional
seniors and
373.
disability, yeah, and the total potential other parcels that might qualify could be over 1,000 more. So, yeah, that's another reason why we were suggesting we phase it in.
Right, and not that I don't support our seniors, but
Agreed.
that just gets moved to everybody else.
Well,
I
that's,
mean,
yeah, that's my point. There's going to be a shift no matter how we do it. The question is, how do you minimize that shift as much as possible while still adopting an increase?
Lori, how'd you come up with the estimate of 1,000? Just curious.
Okay, so while researching a commercial property, I came across some information that report had gleaned from, I forgot what the third-party source was, and it had, by county and by town, the income, the household incomes that have been stated. It may have been part of the last census even. So I looked at the income levels and I said, okay, well, they would qualify for this, they would qualify for that, and so that's where I got those numbers from. That doesn't mean all of those people are going to apply or qualify. Those are your possibilities.
And you have to opt in, it's not automatic.
Well, we currently have this legislation on the books in our town code.
Right.
So this would be a local law to update the income limits that are allowable.
But a senior would have to come in here and apply.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Well, like currently, anybody that currently receives it, we send them a renewal every year. Those are going out next week.
And how about new people that come on each year? How are they notified?
Well, this notice about the availability of the tax exemption is on the back of every town and county bill, as well as on the back of every school bill. So we get phone calls on a regular basis asking, can I apply? What's the limits? So we could put the new limits on the website and just have that more evident, maybe,
Okay.
is the way to put it. I
I
don't
think
know.
we should try that too.
There is current legislation before the governor. I think she has to sign it, I think by tomorrow, in order to have it effective for next year. They want to require a separate mailing to all residences, I mentioned this to you before, in any given town on February 1st. Gives 30 days for the notice to go out, any new people to apply, and get approved and processed by the March 1st taxable status date. Approximately 6,000 parcels would need to get that notification. That's 6,000 stamps, envelopes, notices, applications.
Could that be added to the town tax bill that's coming out?
They
right
haven't,
now?
so that hasn't been passed yet. That's a separate legislation. And no, it's very specific. It has to be a separate a separate mailing, right.
And the 6,000, Lori, that's roughly
Those
how many
residential parcels, right.
Right,
Mhm.
so wow. So
That's
if
the
we end up with-
condos, that's
So
the-
1/6 potentially will get this, be eligible for this exemption someday.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Any other questions?
No, I don't.
Okay, second item for you, aerial imagery proposal.
Okay, so over the course of the last year, a couple of the assessing offices in the towns in Putnam County have been looking into two different image companies. They provide updated aerials. It's kind of like Google, right? They're out there and they're flying instead of on the street with a little camera. Currently, the images that most towns use are the flyovers that New York State does. They're okay, not always the best quality. They're certainly not frequent. They're like sometimes it's every 3 years, sometimes it's 4 or 5, it could be 6 years. So, I mean, it goes without saying, in between those flyovers, there could be a bunch of changes. So these companies, this one in particular, I've done a lot of research between these guys and their competitors. Nearmap is the most affordable in terms of what they offer. They currently fly the area in general twice a year. They try to do a fall fly when the leaves are off the trees and a spring fly before the trees leaf out. So that gives us way more imagery updates that allows us to get that much more accurate information. They have their fee schedule is based on population in any given town. So currently we qualify for the $5,000 annual fee. While the state's imagery is at no cost to the towns, its outdatedness in the long run could be costly, if you want to look at it that way. A lot of us are very excited about this. A lot of the other towns, again, because by the time we finalized all these details, the budgets were approved, submitted, and for next year, and they're looking at 24 or maybe 25 to have it implemented. And I thought I could at least present this to the town board, said if there's a way we could implement this for 2023, it would be that much more helpful instead of waiting a year. But either way, it would be better than what we have now.
Lori, is there any opportunity for like economies of scale with the other towns if we bought together?
I've asked. I said, is there any kind of a discount if you have like three contiguous towns? And they basically said, normally their fee for our population would be $6,000 a year, so they've already kind of discounted it in the hopes of getting a contract sooner than later. The real possibility of a contract to scale would be in the future, and we have had a preliminary conversation with Putnam County, because again, Putnam County uses the same state images in their, in their e-parcel. So we would like the county to contract with these guys in the future, and then the town could reimburse the county through an IMA for their relative portion of what the county's fee is. I think they said Putnam County would be a $20,000 fee. So
Or not reimburse them.
what? Okay. I'm just saying that the earliest that might happen would be 24. So we could either wait and see if we can get the county to take it on and then do it that way, or if there's a way that we could put this through for 2023, all they need is a signature on their proposal and we're good to go.
And then we can sign up in 24 if they have a joint.
Well, that was my point. If we get on now and we pay $5,000 for 2023 and then the county signs up next year and we can get a break, great. I think
Are
it's,
there any other companies that provide this service?
yeah. And it's the other company that I was researching. These guys are more affordable. The other company,
Expenditure of that level, you're going to have proposals, so
well,
multiple proposals showing the differences in the.
sure, I have that.
A few questions.
Yes, okay.
I don't see it here, but Lori, I think in your email you mentioned using like Google Street View for that angle. Does this somehow give you Street View too, or what was your point on Street View?
So yeah, you've got Google, if you want to look at Google Street View. I have Street View pictures. I try to have my pictures updated at a minimum every 2 years, and then in between, if there's been a sale or a physical improvement that can be documented with a photo, a street level photo, we're out there, we're taking those pictures in the road all the time. This would allow what they call like a top-down view.
Okay.
So sometimes in Google Earth, you can see some things, you can't see all things. The quality is better than Google Earth, because if you zoom in on Google Earth, eventually it just goes bleh, and you can't see it. This also allows for measuring. They have historical views, so you could pull up, say, the fall of 2022, the spring of 2022, and the fall of 2021, and look on the same screen and say, oh, wait, nope, they just put that pool in, or anything like that. You can see that easily.
So it sounds like this could potentially help the building department, code enforcement, that kind of stuff as well.
I can't
right?
think of any department that it couldn't help.
Do we need to spend the extra $1,500 for the public facing?
So I had asked them about that specifically because, as I explained to them, currently we have our public-facing site. It's the ImageMate online, and it's got the state aerials. I said, all I'm really looking to do is kind of like substitute the aerial, the images from the state's images to theirs. And I said, we have that link, public access, on the town's website. Then I got that's really a public-facing site then, and so they charge $1,500 for that.
No, I'm just saying, but could we just leave the state ones for the public and
Oh,
just spend
yeah,
the
we
$5
could, yeah.
internally?
Yeah, absolutely we could. I don't see why not.
Okay.
Because to access their aerials, they would give each individual, basically, you sign on with your email address, right? And you have a password, you sign on, you log in, and then you have access to look at the aerials in the town that you operate in. So there's no reason why we couldn't keep the state aerials for the public-facing site. I can't imagine why.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a great tool for you,
Yeah.
but we could save a little money, you know.
Great tool, like I said, for every department, building, zoning, planning, my department, EMS, fire department, like anybody.
Okay.
Any other questions on that round?
That was a good question there.
Okay, number 4, the volunteer exemption.
Okay, one second. I'm just making a note on that Eric brought up. Okay, so the most recently adopted changes, exemption-wise, was 2 weeks ago, where the state, they've been articles in the paper saying it's a new exemption. It's not a new exemption. It's an updated version of the existing exemption. It's an exemption that is allowed for people that are in a volunteer fire department or volunteer ambulance corps, something along those lines. We currently have that. That's been adopted by the town, the county, and the school district. And it's a 10% exemption, but the current exemption has a $3,000 cap on the amount that can come off the assessment. This new revised exemption provides for no cap. So if you have $1 million house, you could save $100,000 off your assessment if you qualify as a volunteer. The current legislation that we have on the books is with a minimum service of 5 years in a volunteer ambulance or fire department. This updated version allows for a minimum of 2, 3, 4, or 5 years to be determined by the entities that are approving the exemption. Those are really the key changes between the two. We have 3 years to implement this, at which point the current exemption will sunset.
The 3,000 was a discount on the assessment, not the real tax bill?
Correct, it's
Wow, so
never.
that's a big
No
change there.
exemptions ever come off the tax bill, other than
Okay.
STAR, because that was weird.
Okay,
Everything else is an exemption, gives you a dollar amount off your assessment to reduce your taxable amount.
okay, so that's a big change, okay.
Yeah.
I'm confused, reading Senate bills. Who exactly is eligible? Like, can you
Yeah,
dumb
you
it-
have
dumb
to.
it down for me?
Yeah, you have to be a volunteer. You have, first of all, you have to live in the town in which the volunteer organization serves, right? So like the Bristol Fire Department or the Croton Falls Fire Department, or, if we had a volunteer ambulance department separate from the fire department, you have to live in that municipality, it has to be your primary residence, and you have to apply, and you have to be able to document, we have to be able to verify that they have been a member of X number of years.
So in our case, it's just only those 2 fire departments,
Mm-hmm.
the people there that would be eligible.
And we have the
If you're a
North.
volunteer in a different town or
We have the
something
North
that
Salem
doesn't-
Ambulance Corps also. That south end, we have a couple people that volunteer.
Okay. Do we know roughly how many people that is?
How many volunteers?
The fire department, who provides that information to us?
What, Eric, are you asking me how many currently
just
have the
yeah, yeah.
exemption, or how
No,
many
no, no,
potentially?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's a good amount. I want to say the last time I saw listed is probably 30 or 40 members.
Okay.
It's a good amount.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean.
But not, again, in the past, not everybody applied, so here's the flip side. You can either get the exemption off your assessment, or there is an income tax credit that you can claim. You can't claim both. So if I'm a volunteer fire person, I'm married to Peter, and he's not a volunteer, I have one option, exemption or the tax credit. If we were both volunteers, that's the only loophole, and it's unusual to have husband and wife, both as volunteers in the same department, then I could say, well, that's my primary residence, I want the exemption, and he could say, well, I'm gonna take it on the tax credit. But generally speaking, to dumb it down, if you will, it's one or the other.
Yeah, yeah. No, and similar to the senior thing, I mean, I support this again. I'm just, again, concerned about, pushing that discount burden onto everybody else.
Yeah,
That's why I was asking how many, 30 or 40 obviously is better than 1,000 in the other case,
exactly.
yeah, so.
Agreed.
I just want to follow up on that. I'm a little bit confused now, but a lot of these people can already qualify for an exemption. Bless you.
Bless you.
And this is just increasing the, like if you have $1 million house, you're paying 30,000 taxes, it was capped there.
No, but.
You can't look at it that way.
It's in tax dollars, but it's in assessment. So let's say you have a $500,000 house, you know, a somewhat average house in town.
Yeah.
They would get a $3,000 with their assessment, so they'd pay tax on $497, which isn't that big a discount. But now they would pay tax on $450.
Oh, okay.
That's a big discount, so.
Okay, I
So
got it.
people might not have applied, because.
Yeah, they may not have bothered in the
Relatively
past. They
pennies,
may be,
you know.
Or the income tax.
there may be a greater incentive to apply now, and I believe the theory behind pushing this was to hopefully garner more volunteers.
Right.
I don't know that it would make me volunteer. I don't know.
Tony, before we move on, about the volunteers and trying to increase their, benefits or something, could I bring up something, or should I wait till the end of the meeting? It's not related to this exemption, but it's something for the volunteers.
Well, we'll do it now, it'd be easier.
Okay.
Well, can I just
Oh, yeah,
summarize?
sorry.
This is yet again one of those things where the town, the county, and school district have to amending the current legislation that we have in our code. And from what I've heard, again, just with timing, most towns, and I don't believe the county's gonna be able to get this done by March 1st either. So again, if we pass it before March 1st, we'll be the only ones, but we can do it.
Lori, do you have an opinion on the 2-year, 5 years?
I have an unofficial opinion. I think if the 5 years was written to begin with, I don't know. I don't know that you have the dedication if you're only in 2 years. I think the incentive is, if you're in for 5 years, I'm going to join, and in 5 years from now, I can get that exemption. It could go either way. I don't know.
Thank you.
And again, I would like to be able to mirror whatever the county and the school district adopt, but if we're the first, then we might be able to say, well, this is what we adopted. We didn't change the years, we just adopted, with the no cap.
Do you have a record of how many we have currently now? Is there any way to check?
It's not a lot. It's
I know.
not a lot. If it's 15, it's a lot.
And can we maybe send a letter to the fire department? Do they have any idea of how many may apply? Would it be helpful?
I guess. I don't know.
I mean, how else
Not
would
all
we
of them are
know?
homeowners, that's the whole thing, so.
Huh?
Not all of them are
Oh, I know,
homeowners.
but at least ask the question. I mean, they would have the interest. And
I mean,
they'd have
Jerry Schrammick, I believe, would be able to get that list, I would think. He seems to be the point person. He's been calling me on this, saying he's getting a lot of questions, so he may have.
Well, he
access-
called me,
Right.
so I'll put him in touch with you. If they can give us an idea of how many and who, and go from there. We have to have something to work from, because right now it's very few. Do you
So-
have a number now?
Yeah, but again,
Like I said, maybe
let's
maybe
pretend
20.
there's 40. Well, 40 may not be volunteers for 5 years. If we stagger it,
But they-
maybe only 10 of them have been there for 5 years, and the others are all newbies with 2 years or less.
And I
Yeah,
have
but
a life.
they know those numbers. We don't know the
Right.
number of volunteers or how long they served. Ask if we can get that,
Are they gonna also
if they
know-
want to give it to us.
Are they also gonna know home ownership, though?
Well, those questions need to be asked, but we have no idea. We're dealing blind. If we can ask them, they can write down if they're interested, then we'd have some kind of idea how it's going to affect us.
John, if I
But
get
right now we
names,
have-
I
we
can
have-
see if they own the homes or
no,
not.
I get that.
Yeah.
In theory, though, worst case scenario, it's like 40 people. I mean,
Currently, I would say probably half of the ones that I have are life members or spouses of deceased life members.
Yeah,
So I don't know how much longer they're going to be with us.
yeah.
They're pretty old.
Okay. Well, see if we can get a number. I'll talk
Okay.
to Jerry.
So, any more questions for me on this one?
Okay, Eric, you want to ask?
Did you want me to stick around for what you're thinking?
Were there any
You-
questions from the public on this one?
Oh, is.
Oh.
Oh, there's not a public hearing.
It's not a public hearing.
Yeah, that's right.
John, don't do that to me.
I don't think it really involves
Okay.
your world, but you're more than welcome to stay there. But a volunteer firefighter reached out to me, and I imagine maybe this is where the 2.5-year reduction for this is coming, but I understand they're having a really hard time recruiting new members into the department. So he had said that they were trying to put together like a package of perks that they can offer when they're at community events trying to recruit. And one of the things they asked of us so far was to see if they could get free access to Tenetta Lake during the summer for immediate family. So I was just going to bring that up and see if we could put it on the agenda for not the next meeting, but the meeting after, so we could discuss.
So they're asking if they can have, what'd you say, free
That one,
ac-
I'll talk to Patty and Kathy on. They're asking for additional, like a benefit package, like for passes at Tenet Lake Beach.
Yeah,
But if you're a resident,
you have to pay.
You have to pay.
okay.
It's not much.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's anything else they're putting together. But, I just thought I'd bring that up. That was it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna table the fee discussion on the building department. I asked all the department heads to provide a fee schedule like we do every year for our organizational. I got back from a few of the departments. The biggest change was coming from the building department, and Eric and I, when did we go, yesterday?
Yeah.
With Z3, the gentleman that's, reviewing the building department, and they're making a recommendation for a substantial change in how we collect fees at the building department. I just want to compare the numbers from what we were paying before, what we're paying now. I do receive quite a few complaints during the year when people are going for registration, getting a building permit, it's costly, it's this, that, and everything else. So I think we're going to try to do something with the residential to maybe decrease it somewhat and maybe increase the commercial. So I want to do an analysis of what they have and what they propose, and then bring it to the board for discussion, but I'm not ready tonight. I thought I could have it.
So will we pass that on the 5th then, or no?
No, what we do on the organizational, yes, we're gonna make some very slight changes in building. All the other ones are right in line like we would do normally every year. The building department will come back
And then we'll do another one for
thereafter to
building.
change it, but I'll give them a couple of easy ones now, but for the major change on the fees for the building department, I'm gonna bring it back, probably within a month after that. So make a motion to table?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, going to the regular portion of the meeting. Hold on one second. Okay. Waive the reading of the correspondence.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
2, approval of voucher list, $1,031,090.93. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Waive the reading of the budget transfers.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Setting of meeting dates and public hearings. All meetings be held at 1360 Route 22, Brewster, New York, at 7 p.m. unless otherwise noted. Thursday, January 5th, 2023. Thursday, January 19th, 2023. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 5, resolution, Ace Indigo, Serenity LLC, abandonment of portion of International Boulevard. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Southeast hereby authorizes the Town Supervisor to execute all consents, quitclaims, or other conveyances necessary in proper connection with the abandonment and conveyancing of the portion of International Boulevard, together with any reservations, temporary easements, or licenses necessary and proper to allow the continued use of the portion of International Boulevard being abandoned as a public thoroughfare until such time as a realigned portion of International Boulevard is complete, accepted for dedication, and be further resolved that the abandonment is conditioned upon the receipt of an easement in form satisfactory to the town attorney that obligates Ace Indigo to keep that portion of International Boulevard open for public use and its passable condition as it were a town highway until such time as a relocated portion of International Boulevard is to get dedicated to the town use and accepted by the town as a town highway, and be further resolved that Ace Indigo shall post the requisite performance bond with the town clerk in the amount determined by the town engineer to cover the full cost to complete the relocated portion of International Boulevard in form and manner of execution satisfactory to the town attorney, and be further resolved that the town supervisor and any other appropriate officers of the town are authorized to execute any ancillary documents necessary to effectuate this resolution. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 6, Ace Indigo International Boulevard, realignment, performance bond establishment. Project name, Ace Indigo International Boulevard, realignment and construction. Bond amount, $142,000. And be further resolved that no certificates of occupancy for expansion of the Ace Endico expansion project unless and until the public improvements are complete to a level approved by the town engineer. And be it resolved that a certified copy of this resolution shall be transmitted by the town clerk to the planning board secretary and building inspector forthwith. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Number 7, local law number 6, amend Town Code Chapter 138, signs. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of Town Southeast hereby adopts local law number 6 of 2022 pursuant to the Municipal Home Rule Law amending Chapter 138 of the Town Code zoning, Article 12, signs, Section 138-75C2, as the same...
Article 7, Tony.
Pardon?
That's Article 7.
Where are we at?
VII.
Time out. I got
Yeah,
XII.
it says XII.
Yeah.
Then I hit the wrong key. It's Article 7.
Wow, at least it's not my eyes. Okay, so it should be Article VII?
Yeah.
Okay. I will make a motion to change that X to a V. Is the seconder agreement?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll continue to read. Article 7, Section 138-75, C2, as the same regulates temporary signs within the town of Southeast. And be further resolved that the town clerk be and is hereby authorized and directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and give due notice of the adoption of said local law by filing such with the Secretary of State of New York with the time required by law. So move for discussion.
Second.
I have discussion. I will not be voting in favor of this. We've discussed this on the board. It's been an issue here in this town for quite some time. I thought the law was working very well, but this year it went kind of a little bit crazy during election season that it kind of went off the bandwagon. I just provided you a photo. In that photo, the law that we're doing away with, it was in violation, and what you see now is also in violation of what we're proposing tonight. I know we were 10 feet off, 15 feet off, now we're going to be 3 feet off. No matter what, this is private property. There are many private properties. Elections only happen maybe twice a year, and it's 30 days. And to allow what I see on roads in many, many other towns, and this year in particular, and within the last 2 days, we held it pretty steady all during the election season this year, and then like 2 days before the election, these signs came up worse than mushrooms overnight. Certain roadsides areas, it's just, look at, I'm just not in favor of it. So this will continue.
But this is illegal
Either
either
way.
way. So.
Right.
But they're there.
Right, but, so the law doesn't change anything. Someone
No,
placed
but-
illegal signs.
But no, but you're changing it now.
But they're still illegal.
They're illegal in the new law.
They're illegal.
In the new law.
Yeah.
Right,
So, but why are they here?
because people break the law.
I know. And what are we gonna do about it? And when we removed them, we
We're
got
gonna
beat up.
enforce it. We made the law, I think, more reasonable for homeowners, and this is illegal one way or the other.
Well, and it'll be even more illegal because this goes on all year long. At any rate, all I know is I think for the past 2 to 3 years, we've been doing pretty well. I believe by this change, going from whatever the thing was behind the stone walls, whatever, is worse than. So I will be voting no. So, on any other comment beside that one? Okay, on the motion, instead of doing, it's all in favor?
Aye. Oh, you have to make it.
Want a roll call?
Huh?
Roll
Want a
call.
roll call?
No, all in favor?
Aye.
One no. I'm not gonna go ask 7 people the same thing, and we all know what it's gonna be. No. Okay. Number 8, resolution donation of real property. Now therefore be resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to accept title to premises known and designated as tax map number 56.-1-41 located at New York State Route 1312 and abutting other lands currently owned by the town known as Tenelli Park. Long Ridge Associates effective immediately, and be further resolved that supervisors hereby authorized to execute and deliver all ancillary documents necessary to record title to the subject premises in the town of Southeast, and to pay any and all fees or charges relating to such recording. And be further resolved that all actions hereto taken by supervisor in furtherance of the objective of this resolution and in connection with the authority granted hereunder are hereby ratified and confirmed non pro tongue. So move for discussion.
Second.
Now, just so you know, when you cross the railroad tracks going to Nettle Lake Park on the left-hand side, all that kind of marshlands, all the way up to 312 basically, it was part of a deal when we were doing the fees structure for Tenetta Lake Park and the enhancement of the park structures. This land was donated to the town, so it should have been done probably 2 years ago, and we're catching up on that. Okay.
I think we're gonna vote, right?
Yeah, we need to vote.
All, pardon?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, number 9, resolution, partners management, resolution to establish performance bond. Now therefore be resolved that the bond amount shall be established for the project set forth below. Project name, partners management. Bond amount, site improvements, $43,500. Soil and erosion restoration, $1,500. And be further resolved that the town clerk shall forward a certified copy of the foregoing resolution to the planning board secretary forthwith. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 10, resolution, Brewster Home Decorating, resolution to establish performance bond. Now therefore be resolved that the bond amount shall be established for the project set forth below. Project name, Brewster Home Decorating. Bond amount, site improvements, $9,200. Soil and erosion restoration, $340. And be further resolved that the town clerk shall forward a certified copy of the foregoing resolution to the planning board secretary forthwith. So move for discussion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 11, resolution Eurotech, 19 Sutton Place, resolution establishing performance bond. Now therefore be resolved that the bond amount shall be established for the project set forth below. Project name, Euro Site Development Plan, site improvements, $394,400. Soil and erosion restoration, $14,500. And be further resolved that the town clerk shall forward a certified copy of the foregoing resolution to the planning board secretary forthwith. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 12, resolution, Brewster Ice Arena, resolution establishing performance bond. They were very busy at the planning board this month. Now therefore be resolved that the bond amount should be established for the project set forth below. Project name, Brewster Ice Arena. Soil and erosion, bond amount, $17,000, reduced to 0. And be further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized to return, release, and or cancel all bonds, notes, letters of credit, or indicia of security held in connection with the above-mentioned project. And be further resolved that the town clerk and shall forward a certified copy of the foregoing resolution to the planning board secretary forthwith. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 13, dedication of Tea House Lane. Now therefore be resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to accept title by deed or dedication or otherwise to premises known as designated as Tea House Lane located off Turk Hill Road on the condition that the owner-developer provide the town with a clear title report and title insurance policy showing no encumbrances or liens adverse to the interests of the town, and be further resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to execute all ancillary documents necessary and proper in connection with recording the foregoing deed of dedication, and be further resolved that all actions heretofore taken by the supervisor in furtherance of the object of this resolution and in connection with the authority granted hereunder are hereby ratified and confirmed non pro tongue. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 14, highway equipment purchase. Now therefore be resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to expend an amount not to exceed $80,000 for the purchase of a wood chipper, and be further resolved that the highway superintendent requires any additional funds above the amount allotted herein. He will need further authorization before making such expenditure, and be further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. So move for discussion.
Second.
Just real quick, this isn't like an auction, because didn't we have a problem where?
No, this is an outright purchase.
Okay.
Good?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
No, the auction, we had a problem at that time.
Yeah.
Number 15, let's see. Sale of surplus land, Spruce Road, tax map 56.20-2-15, 56.20-2-13, and 56.16-1-32-2. Hold on, that's, well, I only see 3 numbers
You
there.
missed the third one. Oh.
I think there should be,
That one you missed.
yeah, it's not on here, hold on.
There's 3 on there. There's 4 on there.
Is it, wait, that's 1, that's 2, I only got 3 on mine.
Well, you're on the agenda, but the document has.
I missed one, I transposed it. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I missed one, I got 3. Okay. Resolution, sales surplus land, Spruce, tax map number 56.20-2-15, 56.20-2-13, 56.20-1-34, and 56.16-1-32.2. That was my error, I apologize. Okay, now therefore be resolved that the town board finds and determines as follows. 1, the subject parcel is surplus property of the town of Southeast. 2, that based upon review of the EAF, there'll be no significant impact to the environment resulting from anticipated conveyance of the subject parcels. 3, that such conveyances is an arm's length transaction with the proposed purchaser paying fair market value for the subject parcel. 4, that it would be in general public interest and promote the general health and safety and welfare of the people of the town to consent to the conveyance of the subject parcel, and be further resolved that the supervisor, be and is hereby is authorized to execute any and all contract, deeds of conveyance, consents, application, plans, and any and all ancillary documentation as may be approved by the town attorney to facilitate transfer of the subject, and be further resolved that this resolution authorization is subject to 30-day permissive referendum period as provided by law. And be further resolved that the town clerk being is hereby is authorized and directed to publish an abstract of this resolution in the Putnam Press forthwith. So move for discussion.
Second.
Okay, as you all know, the town purchased property up on Peaceful Hill off of Spruce Road and south first, and then you go on to Spruce, where we put the Peaceful Water Plant back when. We bought the entire parcel at that time, and now we're selling off some of the parcels. So the bottom line, we paid $240,000 for the entire parcel. And by selling off these 4 lots, which was the intent of the town when we purchased it, we will get $300,000 with still 1 other lot to go. A road will be installed. You have the road to be installed and the water line to be put in. And what we found by putting this in now, right now the way the water goes, it starts here and wraps around and kind of dies. So if something happens to the plant, the whole line goes down. And by doing this now, when we redo the line going there, it can go the opposite way, so they'll never be truly out of water from the plant, which is a good thing, just so you know.
Okay.
So it's been moved. Was there a second?
Second.
Yes.
That money goes back to that district?
All the money stays within that district, yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, supervisor's report. Only a few more days to go for this year, which is kind of a good thing, I guess. We had a fairly good year. Revenues, we met pretty much most of the revenues. Expenditures held up pretty well. And I think overall, we had a good year and looking forward to next year. Okay. Public comment. Is there any,
Or we're gonna add
oh,
the extra item?
good thing? Timeout. Okay, I make a motion to amend the rules.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's make it this right. It's a motion to, let me read this first. Yeah, I can read my own writing. Motion to,
I'll make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with MyRec for recreation management software not to exceed $7,500.
I couldn't even read my own writing, but thank you for offering it back then.
This is
Second.
pretty good class.
Oh, I couldn't read his writing. That's in my
Okay,
head.
okay, so the first motion is to waive the rules. All in favor was aye.
Second.
On this second part of the motion, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I can't even read my own writing. Okay. Yes, sir.
Good evening, town of Southeast.
Just state your name.
My name is Adebola Adefioye. I work at a.
I cannot hear you. Can you hear him well enough to get his
Just
name and
maybe
everything?
move the mic a little closer.
Michelle?
My name is Adebola Adefioye. I work at a federally qualified health center here in Brewster, and I also live in Brewster. I've come to before the board today, the town of Southeast today, to request support for an issue that weighs heavily on my mind. It's about a bill in the House of Assembly that supports the feeding of school age children, breakfast and lunch, irrespective of their ability to pay. We all know that COVID-19 had a huge impact on the families of people in New York, and it's rendered a lot of people poor. And the average family of two children had an income drop of a couple of dollars, and it made a lot of children poor. And the supply of food to school-age children would improve that free of charge if we give it to them free of charge, rather than have them pay, which will further impoverish their family. So I know that the bill is currently in the Assembly, and the bill is A9518, and it's also currently in the Senate. It's the bill S9144. I've reached out to the outgoing Assembly member, Kevin Byrne, and I also reached out to Senator Harcum to lend support to that bill. So I also come to before the town of Southeast to also support the bill whenever you can, and whenever it comes up. We'd like you to lend support and support this bill.
I think the school also has like a form letter on their website for residents to also support this, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, I think they do, and this is just looking for support for these bills and for the state to fund this program.
Yes,
like similar
exactly.
to what they did during COVID.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, so just if anyone watches this, I do think the school board has a form letter to send in.
Okay.
And I guess what you're asking for is for us to send a letter as well.
All right. That's exactly what I'm asking for.
Okay. Now, we'll ask the board to take it under advisement. If they authorize it, we will send that letter.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thanks for this opportunity.
So, gentlemen, on that request, you,
I would like to support having a letter sent,
okay?
if at all possible.
I'd second that.
Okay.
Second,
Yeah, I'm fine.
third,
Okay.
fourth. And we may want to look at the one on, I'll send the one that's on the school website. Maybe that could be
Is that the one?
the start for what we pass.
Well, okay, now, is it gonna be a letter, which I can send out pretty much immediately, once I get the letter, we'll review it.
Okay.
So that's the authorization you give me this evening to sign that letter.
And Eric will just get you a draft.
Draft of it.
potentially.
Do we have to, like, do what we just did and change the agenda to approve that or no?
No.
Okay.
I don't, well, no.
Well, we already opened it
No.
up, I guess, with the one motion, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't
All
think so.
right.
We've sent letters, as long as I would send you an email, is it okay to send it? You would say yes, so it's the same difference, I would say.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public? Town board members?
I have none. Oh,
Got something. So, as you know, there's a winter storm approaching. Governor Hochul has already, as of 6 p.m. this evening, declared a state of emergency based on what we're looking at as far as the weather is concerned for Putnam County's area. We're looking at a lot of rain, probably 2 inches over the next 24 hours. And we're going to see temperatures rise almost to the 60s. And then about 4 o'clock tomorrow, the rain will taper off and conditions will change for the worse, because you're going to see a rapid decrease in temperature below freezing. So what that's going to mean for our area is for poor drainage areas and elevated areas such as bridges and walkways, you'll see flash freezing conditions. So our highway department, of course, and all the other highway departments in the county have been going around clearing catch basins in anticipation of this. But my advice is for this holiday weekend, please be careful out there. And you know, hopefully the strong winds that we're going to experience in the 35 to 45 mile an hour gust range are going to dry the surfaces of the road before it actually gets to freezing point, but we'll have to see how that goes. But my advice is be safe this holiday season for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. This will be our final meeting of the year. I just want to wish all of our residents here in Putnam County, town of Southeast, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and wish you all the best in the new year, and hopefully this was a good year for you as well. Anyone else?
Just the same, happy holidays to everybody, whatever you celebrate, and a happy new year.
Okay, if no one else has anything, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion, we close tonight's meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.